hopefully everyone enjoyed their meals, their lunch here. I make the same joke, I like to recycle them, but if you guys know my wife, please make sure you tell her that I had pasta and I stayed away from the steak today. We're good, big vegetarian family here, so I'll go ahead and get started here. But first, I just kind of want to tee us up a little bit just for this afternoon. For me as a coach, I get the pleasure of coaching our men's Division II hockey team and also serving as director of recruitment and alumni. But with that, we're kind of resetting and working on our culture that we had this year. And we graduated a huge class of seniors last year, and actually a big gentleman in the back was a big part of that one also. But we talked about just what our vision is and really what it means to just build a legacy. And that's what kind of comes to my mind. The three inductees for this year is you guys all were a part of something that you maybe didn't know of at the time, but now looking back, it's bigger now because of people like you being on that team and a part of that program. So you guys have all been a part of building that legacy, whether it's having an undefeated season and the first of its kind, and now having a triathlon building on campus and just state of the art and where the program is and where it's heading. Being a part of the transition from NCAA D2 to D1, being a leading scorer and help building that program, or winning Crew's first national championship. Like those are all like huge monumental things that are not just individually, but they're program based. And I think that's a really big part of not just what you kind of hope for as an athlete, but even just what we hope for at being at a place like Liberty and training champions for Christ. And I know it's a big part. I can speak on behalf of the Hall of Fame committee, who we have a couple people in attendance here. So I want to thank them, and also just the leadership of the club sports department too. So just teeing us up. So without further ado, I'd like to welcome Mark Fuller to the stage.
First off, I couldn't agree more with the direction that the program and club sports as a whole has taken. I can recall, so I no longer live in Lynchburg, but I can recall 2008 coming into Kirk's office. You could have fit the entire club sports program at half of one of those tables out there. Like it was Kirk, Tatiana, and that was about it. There were 6 club sports total, and I walked off the airplane today, or yesterday, walked through the airport. 40 plus club sports is the very first banner I see coming off the airport. And it's just amazing. So today I have the honor to be presenting Amy McGowan with this award, and just again to build on that, where Amy helped bring this program, where club sports was almost 15 years ago at this point. And just the honor that it is to present this award to Amy. When she called me, I thought to myself, do you know, I'm the person that you could have done a phenomenal job, and I'm like, yeah, you did okay, you did your job today, like, good work. So to be presenting an award of this magnitude is just a great honor, and it is amazing to see how you progress as a person, how you continue to take those lessons you learned 15 years ago and continue to grow. So, as most people have never rowed in their life, I will try to give a brief analogy of what it's like to go rowing, and we won't do any standing up drills because, Amy, I don't need you to have any OSHA recordables today. So, rowing is a sport that looks incredibly peaceful and is incredibly painful all in the same time. So you guys have all gone for a run, I'm sure, at some point in your life. We have a triathlete who I'm undoubtedly sure is a faster runner than all of us here. But now I want you to go enter a 3-legged race and run as hard as you can, and that's already hard enough. And now do it backwards or blindfolded. And this is basically the sport of rowing. In fact, in 2019, we got a boat donated to us and a lake and Liberty wanted to build a team from scratch, and they needed to fly in another university's team to take the photo so that we could promote the sport, because it's that hard to get a vote. So, Amy was there at the beginning. You drive around campus now, and there's buildings for everything. Amy joins in the fall of 2019. Workouts are basically a track team with a boat that we need to walk into the water because there's no dock and hop on the boat. And Amy joins in 2009, comes to us in the fall, and we're accepting anybody. I mean, we don't know how to row a boat yet, so anyone's allowed to join the team, even 5'2" people in a sport that's generally inclined for those that are 6 feet and above. And I was the only coach at the time. We had one boat and we had 20 some athletes, and this one boat fits 9 people. So I'd go coach on the water, and then I'd say to the rest of the team that couldn't fit in that boat, okay, go do some burpees, go for a run, be safe, but get your exercise in. And needless to say, that is an opportunity for someone to really take the mantle of leadership. And Amy shared in that vision of wanting to have a competitive team, to go out there and not only learn a new sport, but be as competitive as possible. And I would be on the water, she would be on the land, making sure that those athletes on land were getting the workout they needed. So that fall we would go to local low-key races. We'd all have fun. This was learning a new sport. And then as the winter comes along, we get to the indoor rowing machines, and suddenly it becomes very hard. It's very dreary in the winter. You're sitting in a club sports room, which is basically a concrete hallway, and there's some ergs. It's not the Peloton where you get some nice video. It is, oh, this is how fast I'm going. I'm going 2 minutes every 500 meters. And if you go faster, you make it 1:59. If you go slower, it tells you you're going slow. So we go into that spring, and we continue to get more athletes. Well, I'm not a Liberty employee. I actually am a volunteer at Liberty, working a full-time job, and now we need to figure out how to get more athletes in. So we're gonna now start a morning session at 5 o'clock in the morning off campus, and there's gonna be an afternoon session for those new people, because you're not gonna get anybody new if you try to tell them they gotta show up at 5 in the morning. So Amy's doing double duty there, and not only is she being a full-time student, but she's waking up at 4:30, getting to practice, doing her practice at 5, and then she's back after classes from 5 p.m. to 7 p.m., making sure these new novices figure out the culture that we want to build. And what that ends up being is basically you're running 2-a-days your entire career of college and putting about 20 hours of training in a week. And sure enough, you put 20 hours of training in for a full week, you're gonna get most improved. You're gonna figure out how to get better. So that first year, she was certainly the most improved rower I had ever had the benefit of coaching. And as we go through those middle years, we have the second and third year of the program. As a coach, I tend to always build schedules where you have at least 1 or 2 races that you know as a coach your athletes are going to go in, they're going to place high, they're going to come out feeling good about themselves. You have a handful of like relatively competitive events, and then you always have one on there that it's going to be a little eye-opening. You're going to leave, you're like, wow, I'm not as good as I thought I was. And those were the times where I could really continue to see Amy grow, because those meets define the character. Those meets you leave and you either are happy to never go to that meet again, or you figure out you gotta train even harder. And Amy was always one to step up. That logbook that we kept, and every one of our athletes kept these composition books with every workout they ever did, just got fatter and fatter and fatter with each day that she was in the erg room, on the water, doing work. You win races in May, in December. And I know from a sport that starts at 5 a.m., you slowly find logbooks that just never got taken home, never got picked up again. Amy's was always with her. She always had the logbook of what she was doing, how she was getting better, and those people that continued with the program started to share in that vision that Amy took up, that she was able to lead by example. And then in the 2011-2012 year, Amy's junior year, we got a bid to Head of the Charles for the women's team. And Head of the Charles, depending on your sport, Head of the Charles is basically the open championship for everybody in rowing. You get international teams, you get Olympic teams, you get high school teams, you get top collegiate teams, and it's a very eye-opening experience for how to continue to develop a program, and that is in the junior or fall year. Amy comes back from that and is like, now I'm really dialed in. Let's see how far I can make it in these next 12 months, next 18 months before I'm graduating. And that winter and into that next fall and spring, we developed a lightweight women's program. And while there are a lot of sports with lightweight programs, it's always a touchy subject these days about how to maintain weight, and especially from a coaching perspective, I have never been a huge proponent, but if it's naturally there, you go for it. And Amy, being the hard worker she would be, she's always getting stronger, flirting with that line. And there were a couple of races where my dry sense of humor needed to come in at points, and I can definitely remember a spring race or two, she'd go for a mile jog, she'd still be 0.2 of a pound over, and you know, I had a pair of scissors in the toolbox. I was like, Amy, we could probably chop off a pound of hair if we needed to. Like, I'm sure I could learn how to be a barber on YouTube. Needless to say, we never need to chop your hair off. But she went into that senior year, and we did make it down to nationals. You go through a series of heats. They went through the first heat and placed first in the heat. The second heat comes down, and the times don't look very similar. It looks like we're on track. But I do forewarn them that year in Georgia, it's a very windy day, and in the sport of rowing, the time means very little because the water conditions, the wind, make a huge difference. So I told them before they go out, if you get ahead, just keep hammering, because you never know what's going to happen. Just win it by as much as you can. This is the finals. Don't leave anything out there. It's your senior year, and no one's going to remember if you're winning at 500 meters and you lose at 2,000. So I watched them come down, and as they cross the finish, they are several boat lengths ahead. Boat is 30 meters, so, or 20 meters, so it's not close that day, but I could just tell as they collapsed into the boat crossing the finish that Amy left all 3 years out in the water. And it was just amazing to see later, as I coached here another year or two, the number of athletes that come in and say, I want to be Amy. So it's no surprise to have the call from Liberty to present this award to you, and I see it in your family. I see it even when you send me a photo of your youngest hopping on the erg already. I'm like, yep, she's still building. So it has been my honor to be the inductee speaker for you for the Hall of Fame.
crying. Leave it to Mark to bring out tears. Oh, thank you so much, Mark. Really appreciate you taking the time to come down here and be a part of this. Big thank you also to Club Sports for your work to grow sports at Liberty as a whole, really, and especially for taking a chance on the crew team 13 years ago. We obviously, none of us would be here without your efforts over the years. Oh, it's hard to believe that over 10 years, like I said, almost 15 years now have passed since I sent that first email to you. Way too many questions, trying to figure out what Liberty's crew team was going to be like. I'm so thankful for your patience. God definitely chose the right man for the job when Mark stepped into this position as the coach, wrangling a bunch of college kids into small fiberglass boats at 5 o'clock in the morning and asking them to do something incredibly hard is not for the faint of heart. The crew team's come a long way since then. Our first several months of practice consisted of literally wading into the cold waters of Ivy Lake after lifting the boat off of a trailer and carrying it down a steep gravel hill, praying the entire time you didn't slip and drop it. We had a mixed group, like you said, rowing together at first because we didn't have quite enough people to make one full men's and one full women's boat, or the equipment to do so. But that first group hit the ground hard running on campus recruiting to bring a lot more people to the team. Very shortly we had enough guys and girls to make full lineups, and that's when the real work began. I used to tell people that rowing was the single hardest physical activity I had ever done in my life. Then I gave birth. But after having my first child, I realized that the mental and physical toughness that crew had brought into my life had prepared me for way more in life than I could have ever known at the time. Looking back on my time with the team, I'm often reminded of my mistakes. College years are hard for everybody. But God uses flawed people to make Jesus Christ known. Before Liberty had a crew team, the presence of a school as some of the largest regattas on the East Coast, with the sole purpose of spreading the gospel and training champions for Christ, was non-existent. Now our students are getting to spread the love of Jesus with other college athletes from all over the nation at these races. And all because of a small little group interested in trying out this new sport 13 years ago. This nomination was a huge shock to me, besides not even knowing that Liberty's Club Sports had a Hall of Fame. I still can't fathom being chosen as the first out of so many incredible men and women that I rode with over the years. I'm very grateful for this opportunity, but I'm even more grateful to the Lord. He taught me so much about life on the crew team. It's hard to even know where to begin. He used my time to teach me so much about what not to do as a leader through some much needed guidance and discipline. But he also taught me how to love those who aren't easy to like. I learned how to pump the brakes on maybe not saying something that I shouldn't, even though my husband may say that one is still a work in progress. But I also learned how to encourage others in a way that best speaks to their heart. I'm confident in saying that my old teammates would agree that rowing drastically changed their college experience and impacted their life for years to come. I wish that everyone in here could have the opportunity to experience the feel of a cool spring morning in a crew boat. I'm absolutely flooded with gratitude when I think of those days on the water, just as the sun was coming up at practice. All of us in the boat, focusing on every muscle movement, working in silence, taking in the smell of the water, and the sound of the oars clicking in their oar locks. Sometimes after we finished a piece, we would just sit at the end of the lake waiting for Mark to catch up in his John boat with a trolling motor. And we'd sit in silence together and watch the sunrise. It's in those moments the presence of the Lord was just overwhelming. It's my prayer that you too have experienced His presence in some way, to know that the God of the universe loves us so unconditionally that He came down to go to the grave and then rise again for all of our mistakes. It's something that you just have to experience for yourself. And once you do, you'll never look back to living life without Him. Thank you again, Liberty Club Sports. Thank you to my wonderful husband, Jacob, for all of your endless love and encouragement in everything I do. And thank you to Mom and Dad for giving me the opportunity to come to Liberty in the first place. I would not be remotely where I am today if it weren't for your support. And lastly, a big thank you to Mark and Aaron for taking this huge leap of faith and even agreeing to do this in the first place and coach all these athletes through the years. Your impact will continue to be felt in the lives of so many college students, as it already has. in the years to come. Thank you guys. May God bless you.
Awesome, thanks so much, you guys, and I mean, we can hear it in your hearts and just your genuineness is special. That's what makes this day so special for us too. So thanks for making it and being here. Without further ado, I'd like to ask Tom to come on. Thank you so much.
Well, Amy, you had me cry now. So I'm here on behalf of Ryan Miller. We played lacrosse together from 2012 to 2016. I was always told when you're, first to make a speech, you always start out with a joke. So my joke, Ryan, I love you, but I also, current events, can't wait to see G.I. Jane 2. I have a receding hairline, so it's fine. I'm just really happy Will Smith's not in the audience. Just joking. But for real, Ryan was the real deal in college. The embodiment of a student athlete. He was an engineering major, 4 years of lacrosse, 4 hours of practice sometimes a day. I just remember my freshman year, I came to our first practice. I was a walk-on with, I had something to prove. We all just wanted to make the team at that point. It was a new program. We did a drill that we call one-on-ones. It's an offensive guy versus defensive guy, just basically going at it against each other. And coach put me against this kid who's 5'5", 130 pounds. I think he had goggles on. He likes to say there are glasses. Yeah. I don't know, but I looked at him and I was like, yep, this is it. Like, the coach is going to look at me and here I come, glory. Yeah, 2 ankle breaks and a trip to the hospital later, I realized that wasn't the case. Yeah. Ryan was very well respected on the lacrosse field, especially during games. Defenders used to thank him when he hit them. They loved it. He had so much respect, the mosquitoes, they refused to bite him. So into the kind of thick of things, Ryan is the most prolific lacrosse player in Liberty University history. Ryan holds records for goals and assists with 201 goals and 136 assists. He was our university's first men's lacrosse All-American. With that being said, he was a 4-time All-American, twice receiving first-team accolades. He was also a 4-time first-team All-Conference selection, twice receiving Player of the Year, also receiving Rookie of the Year. On top of it all, Ryan was a 4-time All-American Scholar athlete. Like I said, he was an engineering major. It's pretty impressive. While also winning multiple team awards such as MVP and Coaches Award. Lacrosse accolades aside though, our motto here at Liberty University, building and training champions for Christ. Ryan is so true to that statement, and the best part about this, I'm about to get teary-eyed too, Amy. Probably doesn't even remember this. So, our junior year of college, my dad was really suffering from some major health issues. The first person to reach out to me without even thinking was Ryan. Asked if I needed anything, needed to talk, invited me to church, Bible studies, literally did anything to uplift my spirits. He really does always put himself second, and I think as a university, and all of us can agree, that's kind of our mission here. Ryan embodies everything a Liberty student alumnus is and strives to be, and that truly is a champion for Christ. So, for most of us from the class of 2016, just want to humble brag real quick on us. We never lost at home. In case people forgot. Yeah. Post-graduation, our contributions, we kind of shifted from the day-to-day on-field contributions to a more distant view. One of support and fandom for the team. Ryan is the main exception here, though, as he continues to stay incredibly close to the program and continues to pour into the kids playing there now. He takes PTO days to drive down for practices, basically leaves all of his weekend plans behind just to support the program, coaching our next generation of lacrosse, here at Liberty. To being the good Christian leader I saw in college, to leading our kids now. Since the program came back in 2011, there's no one more synonymous with Liberty Lacrosse, and there's no one who means more to this program than Ryan Miller. And truly, that's a legacy worth leaving, and it's obviously a legacy worth his Hall of Fame induction. Ryan, love you, and thank you so much.
joke about not crying or something, Tom not making you cry, but you came close there. So. I heard a long time ago, a wise man once said that you're supposed to start these with a joke. Someone told me to tell you all that I got my hand-eye coordination from my dad and my speed and athleticism from my mom. That is a dad joke. Awesome. No, it is really an honor to be involved in this ceremony. Probably the thing that I'm honored most by is I once heard someone told me that Kyle McQuillan, my coach, told them, and I quote, "I don't understand how Ryan is good at lacrosse. He's so unassuming." Along those lines, there was a girl that was in a lot of my classes that after the first time she came to one of our games, she came to class and she said, "What, Ryan, I didn't know you started. I thought you were going to be a bench warmer the whole time." I was like, "Man, this is rough." So I guess you could say I'm standing here before you against all odds. I have a bunch of thank yous to make. I'll try to keep it short, but it's a long list. Obviously, teammates. Tom is one of them. You can see we had some characters when we played. I was talking with my parents last night, just about how crazy it was, the amount of talent that came in when I came in as a freshman alongside me. We had some Division I recruits, Division I and III recruits, transfers that came in. I remember Bryce Marakovich was my roommate for a couple years and probably one of the best all-around players in the country, really, in club lacrosse, and could have played pretty much anywhere. All my coaches that I coach with now, even back to my youth days, Coach Griffin, the Britons, Dave and Denise, Coach McGlisco in high school, and Mailer and Herb. Obviously Liberty and Liberty Club Sports, I think I speak for Tom and the rest of Club Sports, the support that we get here at the university and the funding and just the opportunities is crazy. And then obviously my parents and my family. I remember after my sophomore year at the end of the season, I just sent a text to my parents because I was like, they came to every single game. My dad videotapes everything. We have film from pretty much every game ever. And they just love it, and they're so supportive, so I'm really appreciative of that. And got to actually coach Jackson last year, which was awesome. And then a special shout out to the Britton family. They've been involved in our lacrosse lives forever. They got us started. David and Denise and Steve and Jenny, big FCA and Liberty influence as well. A lot of their kids came here as well. But Dave and Denise in particular, and I talked earlier about being here against all odds, and even playing lacrosse for me was kind of against all odds. I played soccer growing up. Through school, and then we moved to England for a couple of years, about first grade to third or fourth grade. And when I came back, everyone was playing lacrosse, and I was like, "What is this?" And I barely even knew what it was. And our neighbors were Dave and Denise Britton, and Denise kept hounding me to play. She was like trying to get everyone to play. They ran the youth league, and I was like, "I'm not doing this. I'm playing soccer." Just to give you a little info on Denise, she used to say, she had a magnet on her fridge that said lacrosse moms could beat up soccer moms, so that's the kind of person she was. But I pretty much held out, and then finally she just gave me a lacrosse stick. She was like, "You don't have to play, but here's a stick," and that was pretty much game over. Kind of threw against the wall a little bit, and the rest was history. So, and then even coming to Liberty it wasn't even my first choice. I was looking at Grove City for school. I ended up getting waitlisted. They have a pretty tough engineering program there, and I'm glad I did because I ended up committing to Liberty. And it's funny, Kyle told me later, but when I came down with my mom to visit, and after I left, he was like, I crossed your name off the list pretty much. I basically thought you weren't coming. And I think it's just because I don't show a lot of emotion. If I'm super excited about something, I don't go crazy. But again, it's just when I look back at my time at Liberty, it's amazing to see what lined up and the personnel that lined up and the support that we've gotten. The last thing I'll talk about is, you know, I hear what Tom just kind of presented to you all, and it's kind of crazy to hear because when I go back in my life, like I don't always have the most confidence in myself in life or in sports, and I think it's to see the accolades and to see what our team was able to do is pretty cool. But when I was a kid and like playing soccer and stuff, my parents probably remember this, but there was games where like I wouldn't play right away. I would be crying before the game because I was so nervous. And I would like skip the first half or something, and like parents would have to come and be like, "You need to play." And even up and through like high school, like youth and high school, I was really small. Like Tom mentioned, like I think I was like 100 pounds as a freshman, sophomore in high school, which hurt me then, and it kind of affected my confidence. But I remember something that was big for me growing up was watching my older brother Nate play lacrosse, and he was talented. He was pretty fast, but he just wasn't the most talented or the most athletic really. He just tended to decide. He almost made a decision that he was going to be the best player on the field. And I remember countless conversations I had with him about that kind of mental approach to the game. And I do wonder sometimes if I would be here right now or where I would be without that role model to look up to. He was just, you could tell he'd get on the field and like he was going to go right at his defender and prove that he was the best player on the field. And I think that's where I get a lot of my mental approach and mental toughness in sports and in life in general from my older brother. And I feel that I've been able to give that to Liberty as well, help Liberty with that and the team currently for sure. And the best part of the whole thing is the journey's not over because I'm still coaching. So, thank you.
That's awesome. Well, Ryan, I think we were kind of going through our Liberty journeys kind of at the same time, so I think that if you guys ever had an opportunity to see Jordan play, pretty cool. I got the opportunity to see Ryan Miller play lacrosse at Liberty, so that's my claim to fame. So big honor. Tom, I think I'm gonna have to hire you out or contract you to MC this whole event. Way funnier than I am. So, but anyways, without further ado, I'd like to ask Jenny if you could come on up. Thanks so much.
Well, thank you, Liberty Club Sports, for having me here today. It's an honor to be able to present this award to my wonderful husband. We met at Liberty in 2013 when I joined the triathlon team. Now I'm gonna cry. So one of the first things that I noticed about Joseph was his confidence, his passion, and his love for the sport of triathlon. It's kind of what drew me to him, and it just, I don't know, just made triathlon better. Triathlon's a big endurance sport, and you have to be mentally tough and mentally prepared, and you have to want to really do it. And just watching him compete and practice, I mean, it was amazing. And every time we would go to a race, we would pray beforehand, and then just watching him compete. And as he would cross the finish line, you know, he'd look up and point to the sky to thank our Lord for giving him the ability to race and to just do triathlon, do something that he loved. Joseph, during his time, I'm not going to keep this too long because I know he's going to talk about his time at Liberty and everything related to triathlon, but he earned his professional card in 2012 at Liberty. He also went undefeated in the region during that year while at the university. He has competed internationally in Zimbabwe, became the national champion in 2011. He earned his business administration degree at Liberty with a minor in French, and has since gone on to join the Coast Guard. We are now a Coast Guard family, and he has worked hard and is waiting on to see if he will be picked up for officer. So, hoping for that. But he has done some amazing things throughout his career in triathlon and continues to compete in the sport in different endurance races. He is working to represent the Coast Guard in the U.S. Armed Forces races, hoping for that next year. But he has a lot more to do in the sport of triathlon, and it is just an honor to be here, and congratulations to the other two Hall of Fame inductees. But I would like to introduce my husband, Joseph Anderson.
All right, thank you, Jenny. Thank you, my beautiful wife. Yeah, again, it's just it's a great honor to be here and standing in front of you all. It's been a long journey leading up to here. From Spain, it all started when I was back in Zimbabwe. I wanted to join I wanted to go to a Christian university that also had a triathlon team. And at the time, Liberty was one of the few schools that fit that billet. And I knew I had to join from Coach Beth Frackleton, who was last year's Hall of Fame inductee. She made me feel right at home. I gave a call to her, and she told me about the team. It was small and upcoming, but the promising of the support from the school that she talked about was just, it made an easy decision. So I'm glad I did. But sorry. And I'd also like to congratulate the other inductees on a well done job. It's a great honor to just be standing here in front of you all. But yeah, so back when in Zimbabwe in 2010, I was looking for a school. I began my search to continue the sport of triathlon. Like I said, Liberty was one of the very few Christian schools at the time that offered a program to continue what I wanted to do with the sport. Despite the program being in its infancy, Liberty supported myself and my fellow athletes by giving us the opportunity to compete at the World Triathlon Age Group Championships in Auckland, New Zealand, and countless other national events. One of my fondest memories was helping assist direct the home triathlon that we did here. It was the first of its kind on-campus triathlon, and I remember doing a traditional pre-race prayer. We had the Naval Academy. A lot of their guys saw that we were about to start praying, and they came over and joined us. And those kind of moments just really made my time special, to share the love of Christ with others. And they really do see a difference in our school, and I think that's something that is just what makes Liberty, and my time at Liberty, just memorable from years to come. And then, but yeah, I mean, again, just now that I'm in the Coast Guard, competing for the service, I take all of my experiences, my time with the team, the camaraderie I had, and the ability to take that with the service of in the Coast Guard is, it's just been a joy to me and to others, and I'm just so thankful for all the opportunities I had with the school. That's just kind of helped propel my life to be able to continue the sport with the service. And but yeah, I just want to thank again my beautiful wife Jenny for all your support. Meeting you on the triathlon team, that was icing on the cake. And thank you, for supporting me even throughout the Coast Guard. Now I know it's been difficult traveling around, moving up every 2-3 years with the Coast Guard. It's it's not easy, but you've made it worth it. And thank you to my mom and dad. You've always been great supporters of me throughout the sport. I know it's financially not cheap for to go to races. When we were in Zimbabwe, traveling around the Southern African region, being able to do that, you guys have always been financially supportive of me and emotionally and financially. So it's been I'm just very thankful. Thank you. And yeah, that's it. Thank you.
Alright, thank you guys so much. We're gonna head and wrap up here, but for you, I'm just gonna give a couple logistics. So whenever we're done, I'll go ahead and invite Jeff Becker up here to just say some closing remarks and to close us out in prayer. And then afterwards, you guys are dismissed. But before that, everyone completely heads out. We do have a backdrop in the hallway where we're gonna try to get some pictures of the inductees. So we'll just kind of all gather together with you guys and your families and whatnot to get some pictures, and then you guys can go and enjoy the beautiful remaining weekend and weather. So, Jeff?
All right, so from the start of the joke, the hardest thing about coming up last is all three of our inductees are in such great shape. Got in a little bit here, but anyway, hey, I want to.
podium.
Yeah. It's a little bit small. All right. I want to start by saying thanks, first and foremost, to our Vice President and Athletic Director, Kirk Handy, who, as the leadership for Club Sports that we've seen, some of us have been here for a while, and Mark knows back in those days, seeing that grow, and he had a big hand in that. Big thanks to Casey, to Ben, to Kim and their team on the event today. Thank you for everything there. Mark, Tom, and Ginny, your presenters, hearing those stories are special, and I think it's just an awesome testament to who our inductees are. Thank you for sharing part of their lives with us as people who are in attendance here. To our inductees, Amy, Ryan, Joseph. Took a couple notes. I've got a few things to keep in the back pocket for when my kids are grown up, and so I appreciate that. But thank you for your time, tons of time. In fact, we now have a new rule: we can't do more than 20 hours of practice a week. So anyway, that's more in compliance issues. But anyway, thank you for the time that you've given, the sweat to do everything that you did as a team member, club sport athlete, the heart that you brought. And that's the most important thing. Not only a heart for the sport, but a heart for your teammates, a heart for seeing it grow, and most importantly, what I've heard throughout is a heart for the Lord. And so with that, I'd just like to leave with 2 verses, something that you've already shown and accomplished in that area of your life, but then I want to challenge everybody here with, and that's Colossians 3:23. Whatever you do, work at it with all your heart as unto the Lord, not as unto man. So as you move forward in every area, business, whatever life has for you right now, go for that. And as part of that, you get to be an example and a light to the people around you. They're going to ask you why. You can tell them why. So secondly and lastly, Matthew 22:33 or 37 and 39. Love the Lord your God with all your heart, with all your soul, with your mind and all your strength, and love your neighbor as yourself. These will help guide you, right? In that moment, Jesus is talking about what is the fulfillment of the law, and these 2 things are the fulfillment of the law. So let's pray and go from here. God, thank you for this day. Just thank you for who you are and the amazing people that you bring around us, around club sports. Thank you for the athletes. Thank you for our inductees and their families. Thank you for the coaches that represent them and who have poured into them. Just pray your blessing upon each one. I pray for, Father, your purpose, your will, and your plan to be established, your story to be written in their lives, that it be great. Obviously, it'll have its ups and its downs, but you will hold them and walk with them through it all, walk with us through it all, and I praise you for that. We commit our day to you, and we give you glory. In Jesus' name, amen.